Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that makes apocalypse jokes like there's no tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Apocalypse Road from GMT Games. In Apocalypse Road from GMT Games, up to 10 players are going to go ahead and take part in a dangerous race in which cars are actually going to fight each other and attempt to destroy each other on the track. There are 4 different game boards, and again, these are race tracks. These are various tracks that represent race fields in the future in which this apocalypse takes place. Now, the game is based loosely on the Thunder Alley system that was developed by these designers a while back. Essentially, you've got these cars. Each player, depending on player count, puts 4 or 5 cars out there at the beginning of the track. And then you are going to go ahead and activate them. Now, each player has race cards that they're going to use in order to move their cars. Now, the race card essentially says what kind of movement it's going to be, as well as the distance that these cars are going to be able to move. So when you play that card, you move your car that number of spaces. But it's not just quite that simple, because there's different kinds of movement. Now, all things being equal, it costs 1 point to move 1 space forward or 1 space on to either side. If there's a car that's already there and a space to the side, and you want to kind of displace it, it's going to cost you 2 movement points, and then you'll move that other car over. Now, the different kinds of cards you can play are things like line movement, meaning if you are in a line, say there's a car ahead of you, 2 cars behind you, you move that entire line that number of spaces on your card. But you can also have a lead movement, which means you're just going to move the cars you are leading. Now, if there's a car in front of you, you'll still push it, but you will pull any cars behind you. If there's no car in front of you, it doesn't matter. You'll still pull those guys behind you. If you've got pursuit, it's the same thing. You will push any cars directly ahead of you in order to keep moving. Now, some of these things will lead to like conditional linkage of cars, which means only for a certain amount of time will you be linked and you can get out of that. But then there's also solo movement. You can just kind of move yourself. But again, if you get into a conditional linkage, you're going to be pushing other cars. So there's kind of different ways you're going to move during the game. But critically too, right before you move or right after you move, you can engage in combat. Now, when you do combat, what you do is you pick a car, you pick a legitimate target. And most of your weapons are either going to be forward-facing or rear-facing, and you may have some turrets that can hit any car next to you. But you're always going to attack an adjacent car, either orthogonally or diagonally. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and draw a combat card. Now, each car has a defense number on it. The combat card simply has to be greater than the defense number in order to work. And so you go ahead, you draw that card, and then you're going to look at the specific weapon that your specific car has, because each of the cars that you have has a different number on it, and you correspond to the card on your track, on your chart. You look at there, see what weapon it is, and then you look at the card, and it tells you what kind of damage it deals, how many damage, or any other specific things that happen to it. That card then is going to take that number of damage tokens on it. The card can take a total of 6 damages. As soon as it takes the 6th damage, it is immediately eliminated from play. More on that later. Some of the weapons also have a targeting computer, which give you a +1, and there can be some other modifiers from time to time. Now, critically too, when you draw that race card, and when you play that race card, it may trigger an event. If there's an event marker there, you draw the event card. The event card can do all sorts of things. It can affect you negatively or positively. It can affect other players negatively or positively. It can affect parts of the track. So there's all different things that can go on when you play the event card. Now, if your card is destroyed, you can go ahead and you put it to the destroyed cards, and you can draw another card from your kind of your track there, your chart. You can put it in the chute, and it's ready to go for the next round. So you can go ahead and keep the same number of cars in the game, theoretically, throughout the entire game. Now, the whole point of the game is to gain victory points. The first player to 12 victory points will win, so you're always looking for those ways to gain it. And critically, there are two main ways you gain victory points in this game. First of all, every time you cross the finish line, you do a lap, you gain a victory point. One of your cars gains a victory point. So you got 4 or 5 cars. Every time one of them goes through, you gain a victory point. But also, too, every time you succeed in destroying an enemy's car, you gain a victory point. So those are the chief ways you're going to get victory points, and you're going to keep doing that. You and your friends are going to go around and around, playing your cards, engaging in combat, having those events happen, and critically crossing that finish line again and again, hitting those laps, and whoever is the first to get 12 victory points wins Apocalypse Road. So Apocalypse Road is based on Thunder Alley by Carla and Jeff Horger. And this game, Thunder Alley, I played 5-6 years ago. It was a game, it was kind of just a general racing game, and the theme did not thrill me. I'm not a big fan of racing, and I didn't think much about it, but I heard somebody go on and on about this game, so I'd like to try it, and I fell in love with it. I thought Thunder Alley was just an amazing game, and I still think it's underrated. I still don't think it's got as much love as it deserves, because it's a fantastic game. This Apocalypse Road was not really on my radar. I had asked GMT if they'd send me another game, and they sent that to me, but then they also sent me this one, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of like Thunder Alley. So I thought, well, this could be fun. I could like this one. So we sit down, we play it with a group of my friends, and it plays very similar to Thunder Alley. I mean, the racing rules are virtually identical in a lot of ways, a few little differences here and there, but very similar to Thunder Alley. But then they add the combat aspect to it, and it's so much fun. And I like it because suddenly the game becomes a lot meaner. And I like meanness in games, and I like it when you can screw people over or have them screw you over. And it's just kind of a fun way to play. So I'll tell you right now, I got a big kick out of this game. Had a lot of fun with Apocalypse Road, and so did all my friends. It's action and it's intense. And what I love about this and Thunder Alley in this game is this is one of those games, because your cars are being moved and pushed by other players. You are constantly paying attention. Even when it's not your turn, you're trying to see what's going on, because you're always trying to know where your cars are and what they're doing and planning your next moves. But at the end of your turn, you can't plan your next move because you don't know where your cars are going to be by the time your next turn comes around. And, in theory, you would think that would lead to a lot of AP, but it really doesn't. It's not that difficult to come up with a plan. So you see what's going on, and you say, well, okay, I can use that guy to fire at this guy, and then I can move him X number of spaces. And you can also do ram crashing. You can ram into other cars to cause damage, and that can also cause you damage, and that's a fun thing there too. There's a lot of good choices. You're engaged throughout. It's not a terribly long game, and it's fun. This is just so much fun. I really, really dare I say it, I love Apocalypse Road. I think it's just a fantastic game. So the recommendation for the discriminating gamer is 100%. You are going to want to buy this one. You will have fun. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We are The Discriminating Gamer. And I have a flat earther friend who said he was going to walk to the edge of the earth to prove it was flat. But he came around.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
And global thermonuclear war.